Peace. My name is G Man of Law. My artist name is P Funk City G. And welcome to the Naked Truth. Alright, today I'm going to be talking about my experiences of living in America, in Jamaica. And like what I think that people have like preconceived notions of who Black Americans are. And I know one recurring theme is, laziness. They think we're lazy. Think we're lazy, and we think that that we're better than other people. That we think we're better than them, and so I'm not gonna say they right or wrong. Everybody has a reason for what they believe, but I know that's something that continues to come back. And even like when I talk to a female or something, and we just start talking or something, and she be like, I've heard a few times, yo, you're nothing like what I heard Jamaican Black Americans are, so I think those are like two of the biggest things, differences. But it hasn't been a challenge. It hasn't been challenging. I've gotten nothing but I'm not gonna say nothing but I've gotten a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that appreciate me. Lifelong friends, I appreciate them. We work well together. We have plans together, paths together, experiences together. And I don't regret my decision, one bit. It's an amazing place. I'm over here looking at my notes to make sure that I, don't forget, and I'll stay on topic. All right. One of the topics that I think, is how most people out here they live. They work for themselves, They, like my closest friends, one is a taxi driver, and one is a chef. He owns his own restaurant, So they're self-sufficient, There's a lot of brothers that make a good living and, can provide for their family driving taxis. Actually, it's one of the better fields that people go into where you could keep, money in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? Whether you own a taxi or you're leasing a taxi. The taxis out here too, I want to clarify one thing. Taxis out here, they run like bus lines, or kind of like Queens, how Queens in the Bronx got like a bus service that it just runs a route. So in America, most people think it's a taxi, it's just you, and you tell them, they come pick you up, they take you to where you want to go, they drop you off. But here it's more like they're driving the same route. For instance, there's a route from the grill that comes from the grill taxi stand, and it ends here in Savlamar. And so what they do is it's like a bus route. They come pick people up that stopped on the road, carrying them where they want to go. Next taxi comes, and there's always, it's frequent, like a taxi maybe every 10, 15 minutes. And that's just, how, people get around. If the public, let's say that's public transportation. If you have a private car, a lot of people do have, private cars and stuff. And that's what I want to talk about too, is some of the preconceptions that we have, as Black Americans about, Jamaican people. But it's like I've never really grew up like hearing like disparaging things about people here in Jamaica. The biggest thing I remember was in Living Color. They had a ongoing thing. Jamaican family, they working, and the father worked 10 jobs. Doesn't come home, take off the hard hat, then put on another uniform to go to the next job, and things of that nature. And yeah, my brothers over here and sisters over here, they work hard. Um, you know, but my experience is that they're black people. My first really experience, like saying like in America, what I mean, with like Jamaican friends, because majority of the time over there, especially in the hood, like black people might be the majority, and then got a couple cats that's some from Jamaica. I got a couple cats. You know what I mean? From day one, what I'm saying, we were Jamaican, but we didn't see them as Jamaican. We see them as black people. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we all have the same needs, wants, and desires. And that's for us to have a good life, luxury if we can. You know what I mean? And we love our kids. We take care of our kids. So it's like I was saying, I was working in about 2004 for this label. I was producing for this label and doing engineering work for what is it? I think it was called Top Notch Records, but it was like the owner of it was my man Mickey, and he had a studio. He had a warehouse basically. He had a warehouse, and part of it his father was has a plumbing company, Hunt's Plumbing in Plainfield, New Jersey. Do excellent work. They're well known, well respected. And so what happened is my man K Banger, there was a rapper named K Banger. He played keyboards for me. He was the guy I was talking about. What I used to always have to pay the keyboardist to work on music, and I was able to learn keyboarding and all of that here in Jamaica to do it for myself. But he knew a guy that had a artist. Her name was Nikki Lee, and so he linked us together. He linked me and Mickey together. Mickey was the label owner, and Nikki Lee was the main feature artist. And so he needed like a professional touch to finish off the stuff, present it properly, and that's where I came in. So when I got there, so now it's like, okay, now I'm like in a black city, Plainfield, but I'm like now I'm the minority because I'm in the it's Jamaican community. Like he owns the business, the people that work for him are Jamaican, and artists, everybody within the door, secretary. So it was like, so I was, basically a minority. I didn't feel like a minority because, like I said, it's like I think people think that, and I'm sure like ignorant people, they probably say certain things, and I know over here is like sometimes like the bad experiences overwhelm the good experiences. Right? Like, people, like, I've had bad experiences, horrible experiences, but, overall, like, that'll probably be like 2% of the experience. Most of it is love. And it's like, or neutral. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing over there. It was like, I had never heard of nothing negative, but I'd heard except that Jamaican people don't like black Americans. But, growing up, like, we hear that all the time. White people don't like us, Italians don't like us. Nigerians don't like us, Guyanese don't like us, we not really black, you know what I'm saying, and all of this, and we don't got no culture, and, you know what I mean, but, and it's like with, the Nigerian, what's the name of that music, Afro Beats, what's the guy name, he had the ill song, I love the song, but he broke my heart when he was talking about black people don't have no culture. Burner or something like that. I forget his name because that really turned me off. He said black people don't have no culture, but he walking around looking like a black American rapper. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? In Islam, culture means a way of life. So everybody has a culture. An ant has a culture. You know what I mean? Definitely the black man in America has a culture. But But anyway, so I'm the minority working at the studio, and yo, I got nothing but love. They treated me with respect, and it was just amazing because like I said, the only thing different between Black Americans and Jamaican Americans or Jamaican people in general is our culture. You know what I mean? Like our accent. Um, we don't have a island experience. You know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of people in America that were born in Jamaica, they carry that that integrity. You know what I'm saying? That national, like the only people that don't say, the only black people in America that call themselves black people, you know what I mean, is Black Americans, because Jamaican Americans, they call themselves Jamaican Americans. You know what I'm saying? But they identify with us. And a lot of people do, a lot of Jamaican people and Haitian people, they consider themselves black. Because once you've been over there and the police pull you over, they don't care if you're Jamaican, Haitian, Dominican, Trinidadian, you black. You a nigga. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's one thing, like over here, is like the cats that have left America and came back, you know what I mean? Like those the ones that, like we really bond with, because it's like we know how it is side of Jamaica. Like a lot of people that haven't traveled, they have a certain way of seeing things, and then once they come over there, it's completely different. But my brothers that have traveled abroad, lived abroad, some of them have been deported, but some of them, haven't. They just came back. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, I don't like it over there. And so, I have a lot of them, them brothers in my circle, But, getting back to the studio, over in Plainfield, working for Top Notch Records, with Mickey and Nikki Lee, with the culture, it was just beautiful because everybody worked together. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like no I didn't see competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mickey was the man. You know what I'm saying? He was the bank. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't treat anybody with disrespectfully. And the guys that worked, man Bunny, he would come through and cook food for everybody. You know what I mean? It was like same thing here. Like when I started working with Damien Rich, we would come. They fed me. You know what I'm saying? His family owns a patty shop too. You know what I mean? They got the best patties in Jamaica to me. It's Dunbar River. You know what I'm saying? The patty shop. Best in Jamaica to me, my preference. And they have the veg patty is made out of chocho. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like Juicy Beefs. They make their patty out of callaloo. So I really don't like that. But the way Dunbar River Patty Shop season their veg patties, yeah, it's amazing. It tastes like a cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? It tastes like a cheeseburger. But that's how it was. Like they fed me, they took care of me. You know what I'm saying? It never was it's just completely different than like going to a studio in the States. You know what I mean? Like for American artists or something, it's like everybody fending for themselves. We here, I got to order my own food. You know what I'm saying? Pay for my own food. You know what I mean? But there was a brothership. You know what I mean? And the harder I work, the more they appreciate it. So I work hard. You know what I mean? I work. You know what I mean? Till the sun come up. You know what I mean? And it was nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? Like American artists, you bust their ass, and you know what I mean? It's like they act like you owed it to them. You were supposed to do that. But so that was an amazing experience for me, and just seeing the brotherhood. It's like in Jamaica they say, what is it? One nation, one people, something like that. But if I'm wrong, I'll correct that and put it on the side. But that's true. It's like it's one people. You know what I'm saying? The Chinese, the Coolie. You know what I'm saying? Who we would call in America Indian. You know what I mean? It's all one people. You know what I mean? Everybody considers themselves Jamaican. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. And I've been to Bermuda like years ago, when I was probably, late teens, early 20s, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't Jamaica, like Bermuda was it was like for a tourist. Oh man, it's beautiful. You can go jet skiing, and you know what I mean. Like, but stuff like that you would do in America, you know. But here in Jamaica is once you get out the tourist area, it's nothing like America. I mean, like maybe the houses are similar. Like they have a lot of people have board houses, and believe it or not, the houses in America is board houses. They just have insulation in them. But everybody, like most people, have a green thumb. They know how to put a seed in the ground and grow some food. You know what I'm saying? Like young men, 15, 16, 12, 18, 19, 20, 25. They got a plot of land where they can grow food. You know what I'm saying? Now this is not necessarily in the city, even though it does happen in the city. But like in the country, like I've lived in Bluefields. I lived in Bluefields, Sheffield, Montego Bay, Negril, Red Gate, Cave, so, and probably a couple more, and it was like I moved around just to see, like catch the vibe, because, over here, like, you don't have to, like, it's not like a year lease, like, it's just like month to month, you know what I'm saying? So you can be like, yo, you know what I mean? And that's, I was moving around and catching the vibe, because when I first came here, I liked Negril. I love Negril. I still love Negril. You know what I mean? And I want the whole world to know about that. Like, come to Negril, But it was like, it's tourist, it is kind of touristy. Once you get outside the tourist area, it's still like a tourist mentality. And I think that's probably how me and my son's mother, were able to hit it off, because it was like, like in the tourist area, they speak, more, better English. Not everybody, but I would say, I've noticed, one thing I noticed, that like in the tourist areas, like the people that in that area, they talk like where you can understand them, like, because I still, haven't mastered the language where it's like somebody could talk and it's like I understand anything they say, you know what I'm saying? I could get, but it's like I said, most of the dudes I deal with, they deportees. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, like my right hand man, you know what I'm saying? Like, Damian Rich, he's not a deportee, but he lived in the UK. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? His English is like, I understand him completely. Like, you know what I mean? And, and then most of my, other dudes like live, they from New York, you know what I mean? One from 145th and Broadway, so I know that area very well. Yeah, I think he was 145th in Amsterdam, 146 in Amsterdam, but I've been up and down that block, you know what I mean? And my man Ness, he drives taxis, you know what I'm saying? And he's taking care of his family, you know what I mean? Like, like one thing I learned out here, and what he's doing is he's saving and improving. That's what I like. Remember I told you, I don't know if I told you, but I've been studying millionaires and billionaires and rich people and successful people since I've been out here. Because since I've been out here, I've had time to study. You know what I mean? Like in America, you got so much time. Like I said, the best part of the day is like you working for somebody else, so you can't really live your dream. You're living their dream. But over here, it's like, I've had time to like study, read books that I've always wanted to read. Meditate. You know what I mean? Take deep breaths, exercise, jumping jacks, jump rope, push-ups. You know what I mean? And it's like, I love my life. Word is born. I love my life. You know what I mean? It's the best thing that I ever did. And it's like, I recommend you to come see it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't come holler at me, do yourself a favor and come holler at Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? And meet some people. You know what I mean? Because there's some amazing people. You know what I mean? And it's like, once you get past, like let me put it like this. When I first came in the grill, we were staying in a resort up like near Burger King, like there's a square, and then there was a resort called Caribbean Sunset or something like that. But anyway, we were staying there. We was on top of the hill, so we could, oversee like the what they call the square and the grill, and it's like a roundabout. Anyway, make a long story short, I met my man Chris, and I met a lot of cats, and that's one thing is like, if you smoke ganja or whatever, like you got a way of like, like having a conversation with somebody and like knowing what's happening, you know what I mean? So anyway, I would talk, I would always speak to the groundkeepers because like I said, we've been traveling since little kids, so. We never been on my mother and father. They never been high. Sister Diddy, like they, very like, I would say humble, but not humble like, meek, but like, you know what I mean, humble like they great people, but you know what I mean. It means nothing to them. Like, you know what I mean. It's about being showing respect and love. You know what I mean, being honest and living with integrity. These are things that I learned from my mother and father. You know what I'm saying? So I was blessed. But anyway, we always travel. So like, we'd be going to like the Americana, like it was like they would go to the Playboy Club when it was a Playboy Club, but we couldn't go. But then after the Playboy Club went out of business, it became the Americana. It was like a resort. So we would go there and just chill. You know what I mean? And it was like, like people with money you go there, you know what I'm saying? So we was like, I'll be playing with like the white boys, the European children. I won't stop saying white boys. The European kids, the Caucasian kids, and playing football, running around. You know what I mean? Like anybody who had white friends, they crazy, especially in America and UK, they crazy. They think they run the world. They dominate. They dominate. You know what I mean? Anyway. They over there like, showing me some shit that I was like, we was playing football in one of the like big lounge with a big cap, with a big chandelier in it, a big room. You know what I mean? Nobody was around. Like, we would have never did that. If it was a whole bunch of black kids, like we'd have been scared to go to jail. You know what I mean? We'd have been outside. You know what I'm saying? But we was playing football, like you know what I mean? But anyway. So we was always able to make friends and always looking to make friends when we go somewhere. So same when I got to the grill, like I'm saying the same dudes. Like I said, because we were there for a week, and it turned into a month. But that first week, it was like, I had the dudes I was hollering about smoke, and you know what I mean. And I see them like outside, so I go chill and chat with them while they just getting at work and they raking, doing the yard work, and you know what I mean. And, I'm chatting with them, like trying to get in their mind, you know what I mean. See what like what's popping, you know what I mean. What it's like, what's the temperature out here, you know what I'm saying. And they, and they was telling me what to do and what not to do, you know what I'm saying. And that's how you gonna find like how to move. You know what I mean? But and then shortly after that, when I met my my son's mother, like I met her while on that vacation that week, and when they saw that, you know what I mean, how I was treating a Jamaican woman, you know what I mean, they, you know what I mean, it turned it up a notch, I think, you know what I mean, with the love, you know what I'm saying, that they showed me, but it was like it was life changing, It was life changing, and I recommend anybody to like come to Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? There's nowhere in the world like it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, Jamaican culture, like I tell the artists, you know, Jamaican culture is the biggest culture, you know what I mean, coming out of the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have the biggest culture, like the biggest personality. And it's like, even specifically the Rastafarian, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Rastafarian is probably, you know what I mean? And I would say undoubtedly the most respected culture coming out of Jamaica. Like, you know what I mean? Like, white people want to walk around, you know, like with Rasta, like, you know what I mean, with the locks, and, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not really trying to be like a regular Jamaican person. You know what I mean? If they trying to be like, they trying to be like a Rasta. You know what I'm saying? Because the Rasta way of life, eating good, being respectful, good vibes, and all of that, it's like, you know, can't help but respect it. I respect it. You know what I mean? Like, anybody who's, you know, a respectable person that's not, you know what I mean, into like, you know, you know, let's just say sinning and all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying, and all that stuff that come with it. It's like, you know, living a spiritually upright life, you know what I mean? You gotta respect the rise, you know what I mean? And some of the deepest conversations I've had is with rise, you know what I mean? So, you know, I always, you know, I usually can find a common thread or agreement with Ross. I mean, you got niggas out here, like, you know, wherever black people is, you know what I mean, there's always going to be confusion, there's always going to be poverty, there's always going to be ignorance, you know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, and that's by design, you know what I'm saying? So you're always going to, you know, have niggas like, you know, side-eyeing you, and, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, the music is controlling the kids' minds, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's us against them. Everybody got an op. Just like in dance hall, same thing in hip hop in America. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these labels, you know, are, you know, manufacturing our self-destruction and thriving off it and making money off it. You know what I'm saying? And they're giving a mic to ignorant people. And hip hop wasn't built like that. You know, reggae wasn't built like that. You know what I mean? But like the subgenres, you know what I mean, of like, you know, that trap like vibe, whether it's a, you know, Jamaican artist or a Black American artist, it's like, you know, it's negativity on it, you know. And I think that's why Afrobeats and everything has, you know, like really like taken off, because it's like how you know, how reggae was, you know what I'm saying, or it still is, you know what I'm saying. Like, reggae is a positive, you know, you're talking about positive stories, positive messages, you know what I mean, and the beat is like, you know what I mean, uplifting, and you know what I mean, you just want to like, you know what I'm saying, but you know, so I always look at, you know, life through a musical world. You know, I could keep up with history through music. You know, but yes, it's an amazing culture, and you have to respect the roster. You know what I'm saying? Have to, because, you know, like, you know, Bob Marley, like, I don't know if Black Americans would be wearing locks and all of that. You know, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, it's like, you know, like most black, you know, my son got locks, all the, you know, a lot of them young boys, you know, the street smart, you know, dudes and gangsters, and they got locks, and, you know what I mean? And we know that the devil takes good and turns it into bad, you know what I mean? You know, oh, and there's one thing I would like to clear, like, you know, FYI, like, you know, never call, when you see a roster coming from America, never say, yo, Dread, what up, Dread? You know what I'm saying? That's very, very disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and unfortunately, like I told you, like, a woman gives you, you know, give you the culture. You have to, you know, when you come to visit, you get a good woman, she's gonna show you the culture, how things is. And yo, we was in Sheffield, you know what I mean? We was walking to the main road to jump in the taxi to go shopping. I seen the Rasta, and I was like, and we had been like, yo, what up? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And yo, one day I was like, yo, what up, Dread? And yo, he just had this disappointed look in his face, and I was like, yo. And so we got, so when we got away and out of the earshot, you know what I'm saying? Like, Sashay was like, yo, don't never, what you doing? You don't call him no Dread, that's rude, da da da, boom, boom. I'm like, yo, I said, my bad, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been a part of hip hop. I think even KRS One, you know what I mean, who Jamaican, he, you know what I'm saying, with Jamaican heritage, he, he was talking about the dreads, you know what I'm saying? So we've been calling the dreads since then, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, coming over here like, what up, Dread? Yo, that was a no-no. That was a no-no. You know what I mean? But, next time I called him, because like I said, he would sell corn. He would steam corn or whatever, like put it on the charcoal, you know what I mean? And like, yo, he was getting money, you know what I mean? Just selling that every day. Like I said, most black people, most people out here, they work for themselves, or they got like a side hustle, you know what I mean, on themselves, you know what I mean? And like my son's mother, like, you know what I mean, I told you what she do. She raise eggs, she, cooks, bakes, you know what I mean, sell cakes and all of that. Got rental property, you know what I'm saying? And she sell clothes, And she, and she'll tell you, like, I'm the one that taught her about the food, clothing, and shelter, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to, you know what I mean, focus on food, clothing, and shelter, because it always sells. You know what I mean? People always got to eat. They always got to clothe themselves, and they always got to feed themselves, and they got to need somewhere to live. You know what I'm saying? So that's always a good investment, and it's been paying off for her. So yeah. So that's what I have for that. I have been last episode I cut off because I had started talking about my great grandmother, Sylvia Jackson. She was born in 1858. She was reared by I shouldn't have said that. She was, like, I shouldn't have said that word, the R word. But she was, like, how it was told to me from my auntie was, the European had his way with it. Because at that time, Europeans had their way with black women. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that really doesn't encapsulate what happened to her. Like, you know what I mean? That R word is the only thing that really describes what happened, because she was messed up after that. You know what I'm saying? But she was impregnated. She was only 16 years old. And, so there wasn't, at that time, in 1874, there was nobody to call, the police. There was no justice to be had, from a black person that had a complaint about a white person, you know what I'm saying? So, and from the, stories that I've heard and information that I have is that it was, she was never the same, you know what I mean? It really affected her, She never got married, you know what I mean? I don't even think she had any other children. I think her daughter, the child that was birthed out of that horrible instance, she was a mulatto, and her name was Elizabeth. She, from what I understand, she was just a beautiful person inside and out. My mother never said anything bad about her. Like, it was just always loving. My mother glowed when she was talking about her, and that was her grandmother. But her grandma, great grandma Sylvia, and her daughter Elizabeth, they lived together. Until Grandma Sylvia passed. Even when Grandma Elizabeth got married, Grandma Sylvia stayed, in the home with them, you know. And so she married my great grandfather Willie. His name was Willie Day. He was living in North Carolina. So his moms had like 6 kids, and they were from different fathers. So what happened was he went to the shop, and a European Caucasian said something slick to him about his moms. You know what I mean? Having kids, and you know what I mean. It was something disrespectful. So how the story goes is Willie, great grandpa Willie, whooped the white man's, behind. You know what I'm saying? And so, and left town immediately. So the story goes, he left him for dead, and then took off immediately. Like, he left town. You know what I'm saying? And he left North Carolina and went up north to Virginia. He settled up in Virginia. And so while he was in Virginia, him and, I don't know how the story goes, but that's where he met my great grandmother Elizabeth. So Elizabeth and Grandpa Willie, Elizabeth Jackson, and Grandpa Willie Day, great Grandpa Willie Day, they, united. And man and wife had 18 children. Well, there wasn't, birth control then, so, people had big families, and it was necessary because, they were doing farm work. And, my great grandfather, Willie Day, he obviously changed his name to Howard. His last name was Howard. And it's funny because, growing up, so that was my grandmother's, that was my mother's grandmother, right? And so the Howards is like they would be considered kind of bougie, I ain't gonna lie. They would be considered bougie. And then on my mother's father's side, so that's my mother's grandparents on my mother on her mother's side that had 18 kids. They were kind of bougie. Not my grandmother. She wasn't bougie. She was kind of ghetto. She was the darkest of them all, because they all light skin. Like I said, that's how the light skin came in our family, was when Grandma Sylvia, the European had his way with her. And so that's where the white, blood came from. So anyway, my grandmother, she feisty, she's the youngest out of 18 kids, and, she was the darkest, and a lot of my uncles, I didn't really know too much her brothers and sisters, because they was coming up, they were like Uncle Bill, Uncle this, Uncle Charles, but I didn't know them. I knew them, but it was like they were older, and and I didn't really hear too many stories from my mom's about them, except that she just loved them. But her father's side, the Day side, now that's the ghetto side. They was from Florida, and they moved up north to Rochester, New York. And when him and my grandma Mabel Howard married Roy Day, my mother and father's parents, and they had a family, created a family, started a family in Avon, New York. All right. So getting back to the Howard, that I already said all of that to say about the Howards. The Howards was kind of bougie, right? And I ain't gonna say bougie like that's a bad thing. They were well educated, and so sometimes, like, educated black people think that, that they're better than, non-educated blacks. You know what I'm saying? And that was evident in the selection. Like, they were saying, like, most of the educated people voted for or college degree people. I ain't gonna say educated because a lot of them is miseducated. But the college degree people voted for Kamala Harris, and the ones who didn't have college degrees voted for Trump. You know what I'm saying? So it's always been like, a class divide, But anyway, my that side of my family is like, they accomplished a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like the Howards, through like Aunt Corinne and her side. I forget her Chuck. I want to say Chuck Mitchell and all of them. Makita Mitchell. But anyway, that whole side, they they were responsible. They founded the Sun Gallery. It's a black museum in Washington D.C. So they, my grandma Mabel, my mother's mother, she was very smart, educated. She was married up until about 43. When she was 43, she got divorced. She sent herself back to school because Grandpa Dave was an alcoholic, right? And so, like, and I think at that time, like, a lot of black men, they were overqualified. Like, he was a certified and educated in the field of architecture, but he couldn't get a job. Like, they weren't hiring black architects at that job, at that time. So he ended up getting the job at Kodak. Remember at the Kodak film, where the headquarters was in Rochester, New York, and he had to get a job as a janitor. You know what I'm saying? And, it probably messed with him. You know what I mean? But anyway, he ended up, as an alcoholic and, abusive, and, you know what I mean? Like, caused hell in the family. So by the time my grandmother was 43, she, she got a divorce, went on her own. I think she moved down to Maryland, right from Rochester. But she had an apartment living in the city of Rochester, then moved down to Silver Springs, Maryland. So we used to always go down there to see her. And, she went to school at 43, graduated, and, started working as a teacher's assistant. And, beautiful. Like, when my mother, I talked about in episode 1, my mother took us out of school to educate us at home and homeschool us and all of that, because, she was, scared that, something would happen to me in the streets and all of that, because of the direction I was headed. My grandmother was one of the only people who stood behind my mom's. Like, everybody else was saying, "You crazy, like, what are you doing?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, she went through hell. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, like, kids, we taking the kids out, "Oh, wow, that's wonderful." You know what I'm saying? They're like, "What?" You know what I mean? And, people, like, voice their opinion, like, strong. You know what I'm saying? But, going, going back to Grandpa Willie, like, you know what I'm saying? We don't care. You know what I mean? We don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we gotta do what we need to do, and that's what allows people to excel. Because if you could be shut down, or somebody can dissuade you and change your mind and your opinion or something, then, like, success is going to evade that person. You know what I'm saying? But, the person who's like, stays focused, flexible. That's one thing that I've heard Russell Simmons say. You gotta be flexible, and that's what it is. That's like with me. That's how I did up with talking into a camera. Flexible. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a producer, so I produce. It don't have to be limited to music or short films, or you know what I mean. Like, I'm a creative person, and I don't mind, like, what people think. He crazy, or he shouldn't do that. Like, you know what I mean. Even with that, like when I started this, like, you know what I mean. Like the family was like, yo, you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I'm saying it's like, especially when I started talking about the religion. You know what I mean? And it was like, yo, but it was like, yo, this is my truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you, like, wrong, or, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I wish you the best. But this is, you know what I mean? This is my truth. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, accept it or reject it. You know what I'm saying? Love me or hate me. You know what I mean? But I can't, like, not do something because, you know what I mean? Somebody not gonna like me, or like I can't call on them and depend on them no more. Or, you know what I mean? Like, Allah is the best provider. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I don't mean to get off topic, but that's how the like the European blood got into our into our blood. You know what I'm saying? And a little story of what went on with the growing up. And I said I was going to finish up with the story about how I got into the music industry. So, like I was saying, is that I was on the train. You know what I mean? At 145th Edgecombe on the D train. I was living on Marion Avenue. I said that before. I was living on Marion Avenue, in the Bronx, right off Fordham Road. So I was headed there, to the Fordham Road stop on the D train. And I was at 145th Street. I don't know why I was in there, but like I said, like I spent a lot of time and a lot of years in that area, 145th, Edgecombe, Broadway. You know what I mean? From like, from 125, like, Harlem. You know what I mean? Uptown. That was my town. That was my part of town. You know what I mean? I spent a lot of time, a lot of hours. You know what I mean? In them neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm up in the Bronx, and heading home, I had guys singing. Nigga had a nice voice. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, yo, that sound good. And like I said, he LGBT, but I didn't really know he was LGBT. Like now that I know, he has signs, because his hair was like dyed red, you know what I mean? But like a natural red, like a brownish red. So anyway, and he was like, you know what I mean? Like putting his whole heart in the song, you know what I mean? I said, yo, I'm just getting out of school. You know what I mean? I'm, finished, you know what I mean? Like with the drugs and managing and addiction, and you know what I mean. So now I'm like, I don't have no attachments, you know what I mean, no collar around my neck, you know what I mean, no monkey on my back, you know what I mean. So I'm like ready to work. And I'm coming home. I was home from prison. You know what I mean, I'm living in the Bronx, and I was working in Jersey, coming back and forth, like, anyway, to pay rent. But anyway, I was on 145th Street, and he's singing like, you know what I mean, like an angel. You know how you would picture an angel. I don't even I don't even really into angels and all of that, but that just sound like it you know what I'm saying, like it would describe who he sounded like. I was like, yo, we got to work, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I'm looking to get into the music thing, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, yo, I'm a studio manager at Giant Recording Studio. He gave me his card and said to call him. I said, what? I said, bad. Yo, it's on. I'm hitting the car, like, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, we was on the train, we got the train came, we jumped on the train. He got off at 161st at Yankee Stadium, but I stayed on to go up to Fordham Road. I remember, like, we was like, yo, like when the door closed, I'm sitting there like, yo, I can't believe this, because that's what they teach you. Like when you're in school, it's like, okay, when you graduate, you have to get an internship, and that's what I asked him. I said, yo, you mean if I come to work for y'all, I could get free studio time and all that? He was like, yeah. He said, call me. You know what I mean? So I was like, yo. So now it's like I got the internship. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's crazy. So anyway, so I called him, and he was like, yo, come down. You know what I mean? So I come down. The studio was a giant recording studio. It was on 57th and Broadway. You know what I'm saying? And I go down there, and he in the room. He was not only a studio manager, but he was a singer. Like, studio manager was like a side hustle. He was a singer, songwriter, and he was working with this guy named David Nickturn, a Jewish guy. You know what I mean? Who was responsible for like making the music for One Life to Live. It was a soap opera. I don't know if it still comes on, but it did at that time. But anyway, he would make the music, background music, and all of that. So Scott would help him write and do vocals and all of that. So they were working in this little room, bored, and so I've been around that since being around Cheese. You know what I mean? But then he's here. So we were talking and chatting and everything. And I was like, yeah, yo, this is fly. Then he's like, yo, let me introduce you to somebody. And he introduced me to Grammy-winning engineer and artist by the name of Prince Charles Alexander. He's known for a lot of bad boy heat. You know what I mean? Records. He did Not Gonna Cry for Mary J. Was it Not Gonna Cry? I think it was Not Gonna Cry, but it was one of them amazing hits. He did If You Think You're Lonely Now with Casey and JoJo. You know what I mean? And like a whole bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably talk about him because he's one of my mentors too. Well, I'll probably talk to him again. But all right. So he come take me into the studio. Like, let me show you. Introduce you to somebody. So we go through the hallway. Go through this door, right? And then with a lock on it. So he goes get the key, goes in. Then we going. There's like a little room going with another door. You can go to the right with the door going into the vocal booth, or go to the left going into the control room. We went to the left. And I seen this black man sitting behind this huge board. He had gold rings. He was like, you know what I mean? Like Prince Charles has got like a swag that's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He kind of remind me of Miles Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like sophisticated, educated, like, you know what I mean? Upper class. Like, you know what I mean? Like his mom's probably, raised him in Yonkers. I mean, not Yonkers, but what's that thing? Mount Vernon, wherever Denzel Washington from. You know what I mean? He was like that, you know what I mean? But when I seen him as a black man sitting behind that boy, I said, yo, I could do that. I seen me and him. You know what I mean? Because he had swag and everything. Cause when I was going to the studio with Cheese, it was like the engineers was like white boys. They, you know what I mean? Like they didn't dress nice. They ain't had no swagger. They just like, they was weirdos. You know what I'm saying? But here go black man, like, you know what I mean? I said, yo, I could do this. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, make a long story short, you know what I mean? I was like, yo, I want the job. So Scott was like, now because I'm thinking about the name, I gotta figure out how to fix that because I don't know. I probably shouldn't use his name, so I'm gonna say Scott Brown. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, he's like, yo, I'm keep in touch with me. I'll set you up a meeting with the owner, Doug Pell. So he was like, yo. He set up because I'm trying to think of because he set up an interview. Me and Doug Pell. I came down to meet with Doug Pell, the owner of the studio. He was a co-owner with Joe Salvato. Joe Salvato was Italian, obviously, and Doug Pell was a Jewish man. He's my mentor. Like he probably single-handedly had the most impact, on a consistent basis than anybody on my career. But anyway, he has we doing the interview, And like out of nowhere, he was like, yo, have you ever been to prison? And I said, yeah. He said, yeah, cause you got jailhouse eyes. And I said, yo, I paid my debt to society, and I never, it's like I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. I said, yo, that was my way of getting that, the house with a picket fence, But I realized that was the wrong route, So I changed my ways. So anyway, he told me to, keep in touch, you know what I'm saying, and that and if you got something, he'll let me know. So call me like in 2 weeks. So, by the time I got back home, I'm trying to think. I don't even know if cell phones was out, because this was like 95, 96, something like that. But anyway, I think, let's say it's 95. I came home. Anyway, so 95 in May, so we had the interview. So anyway, Scott calls me and like, yo, he said, yo, I didn't know you had been to prison. I said, yeah, it's like, it's not something that I go around telling people. So he was like, yo, see, there's a situation. He said, I'm gay. So he talking about himself. He said, he telling me that he's gay, and that and that Doug thinks that, like me and like he's trying to hire me to have like one of somebody he's interested in or dealing with or something, like coming to work at the studio. And I told Scott, I said, I'm not worried about that because I'm not gay. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, all right. Anyway, he said, what did he tell you? He said he told me to call back in 2 weeks. He said, so call him. So in 2 weeks call. Now this is in May. 2 weeks say, he called back. Hello, I speak to Doug. Tell him Georgie calling. He was like, yeah, I'll talk to him. He's like, no, I don't have nothing right now, but call me back in another couple of weeks. So this goes on all the way up until November. Every 2 weeks, I'm calling him. Like, man, I told you, Puffy said, follow through. I didn't know that at the time, but that's just my nature, is to follow through. But anyway, I followed through. So here come November. So I hadn't talked to Scott no more, because now it's like, I know he's gay. So it's like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, ain't nothing for us to really talk about. You know what I'm saying? So, so I called him and like, yo, what's going on with your man Doug, man? Yeah, he been telling me, call Scott, you know what I mean? He's like, yo, he be telling me that, call him back. He, you know what I mean? Like what's going on, man? What, you know what I mean? Yo, Scott Brown was like, he was surprised that I'm still in touch with him. You know what I mean? He's like, what? You still calling him? Said, oh my God. Listen, where are you? So I was in Jersey, I was working. So he's like, yo, on your way in the city, come check me. So I went and checked him, right? So now I come check him. So now I go in the studio, and we in the room, that first one, the little room that he smoked, that he working, writing music. So he's like, so we start talking. So he's like, yo, I like you, and this and that. He said, yo, he like all that fruity stuff, and I don't know if I could be, around all this stuff. So I'm just like, you know what I mean, like looking at this nigga like. He said, yo, well, I just want to suck ya. And I said, yo, I don't get down like that. He said, good answer. He turned around, picked up the phone, called Doug, and was like, yo, this guy is, he's a great guy. We need to hire him. Doug said something. He hangs up the phone. He said, yo, Doug said for you to come start tomorrow. Now, if I had blacked out, like, you know, I told this story. Some nigga be like, yo, I would have whipped this out, and you know what I mean? But it's the art of peace. Stand your ground. I ain't got to be aggressive, and I ain't got to back up. Pause. No Diddy. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I stood my ground. You know what I mean? And anyway, that gave me the opportunity to work for the studio I started, and you know, it was like, you know, and I'm here now. You know what I mean? Still, you know, going strong. You know, so that's my, you know, my story of how I got into the, you know, into the music industry. You know, my next episode, you know, I want to talk about now, but we ain't had time. But my next episode, I'm gonna be talking about Diddy. You know what I'm saying? How I got the job with Diddy. You know what I mean? And you know how, you know, they told me it was something right before I got hired to set the ground up for what I will be dealing with. You know, and I will deal with that in the next episode. But you know, I just want to thank you for your time. You know what I'm saying? Let me just check my notes, make sure I covered everything. Yeah, we're going to cover that next week. You know what I mean? And I, you know, I'll talk about Queen Latifah. I think I said about Queen Latifah, you know, setting up the situation for me to get hired, telling Doug he needed to hire some black faces if he wanted to work. You know? So all I do is ask you at this time, you know, to make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. You know what I'm saying? So that, you know what I mean? So I don't have to flash the PayPal symbol. You know what I mean? I'll be getting my money straight from YouTube, you know? So, you know, I hope you can, you know, you enjoyed it. And if you did, hit a thumb up. If you hated it, hit a thumb down. But most of all, thank you for your time. Love, peace, and happiness. P Funk City G.